I'm Meteorologist Joe Martucci. You look at this puddle here and you think, it looks innocent enough. It might be from a rainstorm. It might be from melted snow. Turns out, it's neither. This is salt water. This is coastal flooding. Water that came over from the bays, over from the ocean, and onto the road. And this is something that's happening more frequently from coastal flooding. So all of this came without a drop of rain. And this is important because we're going to tell you the 5 ingredients that influence coastal flooding. So get out your weather aprons and let's dive on in. And for me, well, I don't have an apron, but I have a piece of gum.
First up is wind direction. Nothing is more important than this. An onshore wind is needed to push the sea onto land. In South Jersey, southeast winds cause the most issues, but any easterly or even southerly wind can make waterfront property where it shouldn't be. Next is wind distance, or fetch of the wind. You see, the longer that onshore wind is blowing from that direction, the more water it can push ashore. In South Jersey, an origin further east in Cape Cod will produce flooding. Third is the strength of the winds. The stronger the onshore winds, the more ferociously the water will push ashore. Weak winds will likely not bring much coastal flooding unless they run for long periods of time. And that brings me to my next point. The worst coastal flooding happens when multiple high tides bring coastal flooding here. The longer that the onshore winds blow, the more flooding that can happen. A particularly dangerous situation is when the back bays stack or not fully drain out during low tide, leading to higher high tides. Think of it this way. Think of it raising the floor on the tides, so your low tides aren't as low, and your high tides have a higher ceiling to cause more coastal flooding. Last up is the moon cycle. A new moon or a full moon will bring astronomically higher tides. Now, not all 5 of these ingredients are needed for this messy coastal flooding meal. Sometimes a full or a new moon alone could bring coastal flooding. However, the more factors checked off, the higher the tides will likely be.
Remember, if you see flooded water, turn around. Not only do you not know how high that water is, but it's salt water, and that's not going to create a nice bill for your car either when you have salt water damage. And lastly, think about your neighbors. A foot of water on the roadway could get into your neighbor's house easily if you drive through it. Just like a boat can create wakes out in the water, your car can create wakes out on the roads when there's coastal flooding, and that can get into your neighbor's house and cause damage to them. From the press of Atlantic City, I'm meteorologist Joe Martucci.